So I'm going to paint on this collage. This is the pourings that have been collaged together. Like I said, if you want to coat them with gesso, this is what the clear gesso looks like. And it's Liquitex again. And the gesso just kind of gives you a surface that if you're not used to painting on a slick surface, the slick surface might bother you. The gesso, you can see through it. It won't do anything except it'll knock the sheen off, of course, but you can paint on it just like you're painting on canvas, which is amazing. I'm using a glazing medium. I'm going to use it properly this time and use it actually to glaze. So what I'm going to do to begin with, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, usually I'd spend at least a week, maybe two, finishing up this piece. One of the first things that I want to do is I want to integrate the pieces so it doesn't look like a bunch of pieces all cut up and pasted together. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just put some of the glazing medium out in different areas. You can use water usually when you're mixing acrylics, but you cannot use water on top of this. It'll just bead up. So I've got some brushes here. This is a Lowell Cornell, I guess, and it is a really nice brush. And then this is a Sapphire by Simmons. These are both brands. Really good, really inexpensive brushes, and I use them a lot. There's not a lot of real fine painting that I'm going to be doing yet. Right now what I'm going to be doing is looking for the movement. I'm going to be looking to see how the piece flows, and I'm going to try and integrate it into one painting. And like I said, ultimately it could take me a couple weeks to finish this, but I'm just going to kind of show you how I would start. So I'm going to take the brush, and I'm looking up here and I'm seeing the Buff Titan. You can get it in either the Liquitex or the Golden will make something similar, but you can use any kind of an off-white. There's the Buff Titan, and then there's the unbleached parchment, they call it, which is really a good color too. But I'm going to look and think, well, maybe the Buff Titan here. So I'm just going to take some paint. I'm going to take it pretty thickly, and I'm just going to start integrating that into the rest of the painting. So I'm not going to be doing anything particularly fancy. Now you can see that the color naturally kind of separates because I'm painting on such a shiny area. I'm going to work on this just a little bit. I'm just taking what's already there and enhancing it in a very logical way. Now one of my favorite things to do, let me show you, I'll come down here. I'm going to take this line up here, but I want it to be split up. So these are called color shapers. And they come in different sizes. You can see this is a small one, and they come in different shapes. But you can see how you can just move the color around with the color shaper. So I'm just going to be kind of moving that color around just to integrate it. I'm going to do it again up here with the color shaper. Just getting the movement going. So now I'm looking and I'm seeing I'm just going to work on one little area right now. Always keep a rag around to wipe, because you're going to need to get the excess water out of the brush. And now I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine. This is a Liquitex color. I use Golden and Liquitex, probably about 50-50. I buy them according to the color more than I do anything else. So I'm just going to integrate there. My goal is to make this look like it was one piece when it was poured. That it's one big pouring and not a bunch of little pourings put together. So that's how I'm doing that. It's a little bit too light a color, but that's okay. I can go back in and darken it later. Now there's that green there. And so this is a chromium green. And I think that's kind of what that is. Well, maybe a little bit of gold in it. So I'm going to take the chromium green and I'm going to pull it down in here. And just move it in. So now I'm getting rid of that line there. You can see that line. I don't want that line. I want it to look like it was all one big pouring. Do that a little bit here. And I'll go back and create some divisions, but they're going to be the ones that I want. So there's a little bit of, this is Aurelian yellow. And so you can see how I'm integrating it. And so now you can see a little bit what I did with this, where it's all, first thing I did is I integrated the whole thing. But I don't have time to do the whole thing here, so I'm not going to. But I just wanted to show you a little bit about how to integrate. Now, another thing I'll do is I'll go back in and I'll show you how to make some shadows to give it some depth. So I'll take this brush. This is the Robert Simmons brush. I'm going to get a little medium on it. I'm going to take some of this dark, this is a dark blue. It's a Prussian blue. Maybe mix it with a little bit of the Van Dyke brown. Touch of black, just to make it really dark. Mix it with a little bit of medium. And then I'm going to look for places where I want the movement to be separated. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to make a shadow. Now I'm following the natural contours of the piece. Then I'm taking this brush and pulling that medium out and making a shadow. So when it gets finished, it's going to have a lot of depth that it doesn't necessarily have right now. And it'll look almost 3D. Now this little area here, I'm thinking, I'll get a little more blue, that I want to look like it's raised. Like this is on top of that, which it is. So I'm going to accent that. So that really makes the 3D effect stand out. So that gives you an idea as to how to go ahead and start painting back into your collage.